cloud. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another amazing career meetup. Today, we have the awesome and amazing Carol with us from Leader Creek Fisheries, and she's going to talk to us today all about the opportunities with Leader Creek, and something that I'm super excited to learn about is how you can go work in Alaska for the summer. So, Carol, welcome. Thank you for coming in, and I'm excited to learn more about Leader Creek Fisheries.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me and for having Leader Creek Fisheries. We really appreciate the opportunity to meet with students and let them know about this awesome summer opportunity that we have. So I'm actually going to go through a brief PowerPoint presentation just to sort of go into depth about who we are as a company and what we do. So I'm going to share my screen so we can see that, and then I'll tell you a little bit about myself and sort of how I got involved with the company.
Love it. I love it. It's always helpful to see it in so many ways, right? You got to have like the visual and the audio to audio. It helps.
Can you see the screen okay? Does that show up?
Yep, see it perfectly.
Awesome. So I'll tell you a little bit more about myself. So thank you for the introduction. My name is Carol. I'm part of the human resources team at Leader Creek Fisheries. And I actually started off as a seafood processor, so this very position that we're hiring for, when I was a senior in college, so back in 2013. And so this was just meant to be like a one-time summer opportunity for me. Prior to this position, I was doing a lot of unpaid internships. So it was great for what I wanted to do career-wise, but not great in the fact that I wasn't really earning any income through those unpaid internships. And so one summer turned into 3 summers of just working from June until August in Alaska. Usually during my off time, I was traveling for a little bit, and then I was doing temp jobs to sort of figure out what I want to do career-wise. And then my 4th season, when I was set to come back as a seafood processor, I joined the human resources team and been with them ever since. So now I help with payroll, I help with social media, and I help with recruiting. And so pretty much this is just a summer opportunity that is in Alaska. So it's very like hands-on work. It's just from June until August. So, you know, it's definitely just a short-term position where you're able to work a lot of hours in a short amount of time. So I'll go into that in a bit more details. I'll go through a short video right now that sort of shows a little bit more visually of what it's like inside the plant.
My first impression when I got to Naknek was, wow, this is really isolated and out there. I knew I wasn't going to have cell phone coverage, but I didn't anticipate liking that much. I really loved being separated from those devices and being more plugged into my day-to-day life.
It's very interesting to learn about different cultures and see everyone kind of interact and mix with each other. So that was pretty cool.
And I liked the way that camp was really eclectic. It was not super uniform. Everybody was just so nice and so welcoming, from like first years to returners. My first impression of walking into a plant was a bit of surprise because I've never worked in that sort of environment before. So there was a lot going on. Which made me a little nervous, but after doing a tour of the plant and then knowing where I have to report for my department, it's amazing how routine that became.
It was different. I'd never been in a factory setting or been inside of a plant facility like that. And it's just a lot of moving components, a lot of machines.
Being part of the Leader Creek family means having friendships that are outside your age group, outside of your ethnicity and nationality and experience.
Met friends I never thought I'd meet and share a really unique experience that I don't think many people are able to experience in their lifetime.
Working at Leader Creek has made me ready to accept any challenge.
The best part of the Leader Creek adventure for me was working with so many people and having like such a big group that you were a part of, and just, you know, feeling the camaraderie and like the teamwork of so many people and everyone working for like a common goal. It was really cool just to see the unity of so many people.
That looks like so much fun. I have to be legit. Like that looks so much fun.
It really is. And of course, I'm biased because I have been doing this job for a lot of time. But, I was a seafood processor inside the plant for 3 seasons. And it really is a unique experience. And I do want to say that video was taken pre-COVID. So now we do ask everyone to like wear masks while they're working. But it's definitely like a lively environment. And you do have the opportunity to like move around within your department. So definitely very hands-on position.
I love it.
Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit more about who we are as a company. So we're not the only company in Alaska that does this type of work. We just happen to be one of the smallest. So we've only been around for about 20 years or so, and we're located in Naknek, Alaska. So we're just there during the summer. And we're a very hands-on team. So like I said, I was inside the plant for 3 summers prior to being part of the office team, and every member of management and of human resources has started off as a seafood processor. And we're really hands-on. So we're the ones doing those recruiting events. We're the ones doing your phone interviews and calling your references. We're the ones to pick you up from the airport and purchase your flight up. And we're there on site with you. So we're there through every step of the way. So pretty much we hire approximately 400 people from all over the country to come work with us in the summer in Naknek, Alaska. And we have our fishers that go out and catch the fish. We just have our employees process the fish. So from the moment they get off the boat until the moment that they leave the plant and are ready to make its way to like supermarket shelves. And we're not farming fish. I just really want to be clear with that. We are 100% wild caught Alaska salmon. So who are we hiring? You do not need any prior experience to be a seafood processor. I certainly didn't when I started in 2013. It does help if if you've worked in a factory style setting before, like in a warehouse. As you saw in the video, there was conveyor belts. There's a lot of standing in the same spot, performing the same repetitive tasks and motions. But that said, you don't need any prior experience. You don't need a minimum level of education. We do all of our training on the spot. So the first day that you get there, it's just orientation, sort of going through all the safety protocols. And then once you get to work, you have your supervisors who are able to train you. And then we have employees who have been doing this for 8 years, 12 years. So you'll definitely have people next to you who are showing you like, hey, it's easier if you do this, or here's a tip and trick for this. So you're definitely not alone in sort of just being thrown in and doing something. There's other people who are also first time salmon processors. And so it's really easy to like pick up. And so during the peak season, we are working up to 16-hour shifts, 7 days a week, no days off. So it is a lot of work. We like to be very transparent with our applicants, let them know like, hey, you're going to push yourself physically and mentally. But it really is a job where you're able to work a lot of hours in a short amount of time. So you're not limited to the 40-hour work week that most people are in their regular like 9-to-5 jobs. And so, like I said, you don't need any prior experience. We just ask that folks come in sort of willing to push themselves during the summer. So why are we hiring? So, this is a highly regulated area, the fishing industry is. So that said, we do process a lot of fish throughout our processing facilities. So every year we are just breaking records with the amount of fish that we're able to process. And so ultimately what that means is a lot of overtime for our employees. So really great if you're saving up for tuition, or if you're saving up to make like a down payment on a big purchase like a car or a house. So where would you be working? We have these as our main departments. I do want to say, regardless of which department you're assigned to, you can expect similar working conditions in the fact that you're going to deal with fish at every point of the processing plant. So it is going to be a smelly environment. You are going to be working in a pretty cold and wet environment. And it is a lot of the same repetitive tasks and motions. So we have our fish house department. That is the first department that the fish go through once they're offloaded from the boat. So there you're on the slime line, you're gutting the fish. In the fillet department, you're trimming the fillets or pulling the bones out as the fillets go by on the conveyor belt. In the backpack department, you're packaging the product. And in the packing department, you're working with the frozen fillets and preparing them for shipment. And so there is opportunity to move around within your department. And sometimes we'll have folks sort of switch departments. So that could be for a shift, for a couple hours, for the whole season. So we do ask everyone to just be flexible in the fact that they might be switched around from time to time. Okay, so as far as travel goes, if you're located anywhere in Alaska, we'll fly you from the state. But if you're anywhere in the lower 48, then Seattle is our point of hire. So we provide that round trip flight from Seattle to the small rural area in Alaska that we're in. And then at the end of the season, we fly you from our very rural area back to Seattle. We typically purchase flights in April or so. So if you apply now and you're hired on, you'll have April, May, and June to sort of shop around for the best deal to get to Seattle. But yeah, we do provide that, and we let you know as soon as we can once we purchase those flights. I do want to address COVID because this did have a big impact on our industry, as it did for all of our lives this past year. So employee safety is number one for us. We want everyone to feel that they are working in a safe environment. So we did adopt some new policies that were in line with CDC's recommendation for our last season. So this included having a closed campus. This was unfortunate because we are in a pretty rural part of Alaska. So a lot of people like to get off camp and go and explore the area. Unfortunately, we just have to have a closed campus to keep our employees safe and also to keep the community that we're a part of safe. But I will say we have a pretty good sized property, so you're still able to walk around the property. We had one employee that would run a mile every day before their shift. So there's definitely like room to explore and sort of do that within our property. We had social distancing in place. So like if you look at the picture here on the slide, this happens to be one of the departments that folks are able to like move around pretty often. In our more stationary departments, we did install some partitions for an added layer of protection to our employees. And then we provided masks to everyone. So everyone in the picture is wearing masks that were provided by the company. And if you have your own mask, feel free to bring it up, but we are providing masks to every single employee. And then in addition to that, for our last season, we did have everyone quarantine prior to coming up to work with us. During that quarantine, they were tested. And then once they got on site, there was routine testing as well. So we know that things could change. The vaccine is currently being distributed. So we don't know how this will change come June by the time our season starts, but it's very likely that these similar procedures will be in place for this upcoming season. So if you want to check us out, I recommend checking us out on social media. We are on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube. And you can look at our reviews on Indeed and Glassdoor. So I just want to point out a review that a former employee said about us. They said, "I loved working here. The community is really what makes this whole experience. This is very hard work, but Leader Creek puts everyone in the right mindset." So we find that a lot of people, during the peak season when they're working so many hours back to back, are really just sort of, hey, I want to go home and watch Netflix, like when's my flight out? But we find that a lot of times sort of once they come out on the other end of it, so once the season ends and they're able to reflect back on their experience and they're like, wow, I really pushed myself to work a lot of hours and to do a job that I never even considered doing or never thought I could sort of push myself to do. And so we find that once the season ends, that's when we get a lot of folks asking, when do applications open again? So, during the peak of it, it's going to be hard work. Again, it's going to be in the smelly environment. But we do have a lot of employees that come back to work with us year after year. I do recommend everyone checking out our blog. It is called the Leader Creek Catch. And so we have this on our website. And this is pretty much just current and former employees writing a little bit about their experience with us. So ultimately, people will come up to Alaska and work with us for different reasons. Some people just want to go out and see the state and be able to travel afterwards once their contract is finished. We have other people who just want to go and be able to work a lot of hours in a short amount of time. So everyone comes up with different sort of expectations of what they want the season to be for themselves. And everyone does sort of come in with a different mindset. So I think it's cool to sort of browse through this and see what people thought about their experience, especially afterwards. So it's called the Leader Creek Catch, and that's on our website. So if you want to submit an application, we have a pretty straightforward, simple application process. Most people know within 2 weeks or so if they're hired on to work with us. So it's not like a job where you're waiting months to hear back on if you're going to be able to commit your whole summer to us. So if you want to submit an application, you would just go onto our website. You would click on Apply Now, and you would submit a complete application. So What do I mean by complete application? A complete application has an up-to-date phone number and email address. That's primarily how we communicate with you. So we will reach out via phone to do a phone interview. And then we send out important information via email. So that's how we'll send you your flight ticket once we purchase it. That's when we send updates about the season. So be sure to have that up to date. And then we do speak with references. So we contact a total of 3 references, 2 professional references, and then 1 personal reference. So once you submit your application, which normally takes less than 10 minutes or so, a recruiter, could be myself, could be my coworkers, will be in touch with you to do a quick phone interview. A phone interview is anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes. And then after that, we'll go ahead and reach out to your references. I will say, I think the quickest we've ever hired someone has been like 2 days or so. We were just able to get in contact with all their references like right away. So it's a relatively short application process. And that's it for the PowerPoint. So I will stop sharing my screen. And I guess let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, totally. I would love to kind of learn a little bit more about, so do you know of where, like what types of majors you all normally tend to see if it's hiring college students, and maybe like where do they kind of go afterwards? Like, are there other types of internships or industries they go into?
Yeah. So we don't just hire college age students, but we do have a lot of college age students because it works well with the schedule. And we honestly have majors from all sorts of different backgrounds. We have people who are like liberal arts majors. I studied anthropology when I was a senior, and that's what I was studying when I first came into this position. We have people who have like math majors. I mean, it really is like a wide range. A lot of people really just kind of do this so they can earn the money to pursue their like academic interests outside of the summer. So it's nice outside of summer to just be able to focus on school and not have to worry about having like another part-time job. So a lot of times this is how students will be able to make their money so they don't have to work and study at the same time, like outside of the summer. And then as far as afterwards, you know, there is room for opportunity for growth within the company. We like everyone to start off as a seafood processor because that's a really like important to us to make sure everyone sort of knows what it's like and is able to like relate to our workers that way. But we've had people who like their second year have come and worked in the human resources office with us. We have people who are able to like move up and be like the managers of the department. So it's definitely, there is room for that improvement and growth. And some people just come up just for the experience, and some people aren't even in school. So we just really do have like a wide range of people that come and work with us.
I love that. And you know, it's interesting is I think students wouldn't think that of how many transferable skills that a position like this could have. Even like the National Association for Colleges and Employers, one of the main things they're looking for is someone's ability to work with diverse groups of people in diverse teams. And that includes age. And there's like 4 generations in the workforce right now. Could you talk a little bit more about that, like age and that team? I think the video talked a little bit about it, but I think it's a really cool part.
Yeah, so you brought up a good point. You know, this isn't the type of job where you're sitting behind the computer getting spreadsheet experience. It's definitely a very hands-on role. So you have to be at least 18 years old to work with us. So we do have a lot of college age students, like I said, but honestly, we have people up to 70 years old working with us. So you really do meet a lot of people from different backgrounds and cultures. So it's a great experience if you just want to connect and just have the opportunity to network. I know from my personal experience, I met people from like across the country that I would not have met if I would have stayed like in California where I'm from. So it really is amazing, like the amount of people you're able to meet. And we have people who after this season, you know, they're able to connect with someone and then go on to work other seasonal positions like at later times through these connections that they've been able to forge through this really community that we're part of at Leader Creek Fisheries.
Right. And I could even see, like, as from a career coach perspective and being in a person who looks and talks with employers, that on your resume would make me be like, can you tell me more about this? Like, right. Like, it's just something you wouldn't see all the time, which I think could help you stand out as an applicant.
Yeah. So like for me, I was just doing this job initially just during the summer when I was, like I said, just still a student. And so I would typically work this job during the summer so I can work the maximum amount of hours in a short amount of time. I usually travel afterwards. And then I did temp jobs to gain like career skills. And every single one of my employers at the temp agencies that saw my resume, the very first thing they asked me was, you went to Alaska? Like I had a good GPA in school. Like they glossed over that and straight went to Alaska. And then they asked about my education like afterwards. So it really does like make a difference.
It does. Like I tell students all the time, I'm like, if you can do something that sets you apart and outside of the traditional experiences, it can really just like start conversation and I think show those really cool things. And so the last question I have for you, Miss Carol, is what was your favorite part of Alaska, going there and spending that time there while you were working there?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things I like to touch on. So first, I would say that, this was pre-COVID, but so hopefully once we sort of get over this hurdle, we'll be able to do this again. But we're super close to a national park. It's called Katmai National Park. If you've ever seen any pictures of like the salmon swimming upstream into the bear's mouth, it's been at that national park. So outside of COVID, we would normally help arrange trips to that national park. So hopefully once all that is over, we can sort of resume that. So that was definitely a perk because I love going to national parks and I love sort of exploring. So that was like a really big perk for me. But my favorite part about my first year, like on a personal experience, was, like I said, the amount of people I was able to meet. I went up just knowing one person and I walked away with like 3 best friends that season. So that season I had met someone who I'm from California. I had met someone from Wisconsin, and we just hit it off so well that afterwards I was like, "Hey, can I visit you in Wisconsin?" So we ended up like going to national parks over there in the Midwest in that area. So like that was really cool. And then like on a professional level, having been with the company so long, it really is a small, close knit community. And so especially in my role right now, I am able to help influence and like have my input really valued. So it's not this sort of like big corporate area where I have to like make a suggestion, like wait months to hear back. I'm able to sort of have an impact on the direction of like what we're doing. So I'm really like hands-on and involved. And I really appreciate that like as a professional level, because it's helped me grow professionally and personally. So
Ah, I love it. Well, Miss Carol, you have been a joy. Thank you for sharing, all the opportunities that you all have. Everyone, make sure you check out Leader Creek Fisheries, check out their careers, check out their opportunities. And remember, it's all about transferable skills. It's all about life experience. It's all about growing that experience. So this is definitely one of those out of the box. You get to go to Alaska. I mean, what is up? What is but until then, make sure you check out career.uncc.edu/events and learn more about other events happening. And we will see you later. Bye, everybody.
bye, thank you.
And then let me stop recording.